the mighty Ender Dragon, one of the strongest mobs in Minecraft. Now some people have even claimed to kill the Ender Dragon, but in this video I'm gonna prove that the Ender Dragon might not exactly be as dead as we think. First of all, what is death in Minecraft? I mean, unless you're playing in hardcore mode, you can just respawn, so what's the point of even dying? But to answer that, we're gonna need to answer the question of whether or not we can actually die. And I know that sounds like a silly question, but just hear me out. In many games, it's impossible to die, but I don't mean you're immortal, I mean in the storyline you don't die. For example, Breath of the Wild. When you die, you don't lose anything, no one in the world talks about your death, it just loads you back at your last saving point. That way, by storyline, it's as if you never died in the first place. But in Minecraft, I'm fairly certain that you do in fact die, because your items scatter on the ground, other players can see you die, and overall it's just undeniable evidence that you have perished. But unless you're playing in hardcore mode, you can respawn, right? Well, if there's undeniable evidence that you die, but also undeniable evidence that you can keep playing, I think it's safe to say you can respawn in Minecraft canon. But this riddle gets a bit trickier when you consider whether or not we're the only things that can respawn. And honestly, I'm fairly certain that any mob in Minecraft can respawn. And if you don't believe me, just hear me out. Have you ever found it odd that you can never run out of zombies to fight or skeletons to shoot? Have you ever found it odd that inside of gold farms, piglins just spawn there? In fact, all mob farms are a little weird in that they just spawn entities. And before you say that it's not canon, just watch it, it's right in front of you. If things happen right in front of you, I'm pretty sure that means it's canon at least. But how can I possibly come up with a logical explanation for things just appearing out of thin air? Well, here's the secret. Respawning. Players just appear out of thin air when they respawn, and unless they have a bed, it's just in some random location near the spawn point. And if that's true and canon, which it is it really that much of a stretch to think that mobs can do the same? Of course, there might be a few exceptions to this like golems or the wither, because I'm not really sure whether or not those can actually respawn considering that you spawn them yourself. But if you have any theories about that, let me know in the comments. We'll also need to ask ourselves whether or not it's free. And if you think about it, respawning might not be free, because if you think about it, dying doesn't mean you lose all your stuff, you can still go and get it back. But there is one thing that after you die, you can never get back: your XP. Every time you die, a small amount of XP is removed from your inventory, and if you really think about it, that applies to the Ender Dragon as well. The Ender Dragon can't just respawn for free like all the other mobs. In order to respawn the Ender Dragon, you need to give 4 End Crystals. And that opens the floodgates for so many other questions, like where is all this stuff going? Is it going to someone? And why is it that we don't always spend XP to respawn, because you can still respawn without any XP in your inventory? But the biggest question of the video is, how does all that relate to the Ender Dragon? You see, the truth is, I don't really know the answers to a lot of these questions. But what I can answer is how all this relates to the Ender Dragon. Let's take dying in Minecraft step by step. Something kills you and then you see the respawn screen. Then you click respawn and you're back in the overworld. But wait a minute, what happens right after you die? You're in the respawn screen. You're not alive and you're not dead. You're in between. And my theory is that when you kill the Ender Dragon, it goes into this screen right here until you can give it the end crystals it needs. Which is a good theory until you realize how much better it gets when you add ancient players to it. You see, there's a theory that's been floating around that was originally proposed by Weefies about the Ender Dragon being created by people. And that makes sense when you look at the main theory about the Endermen. Many people think that for some reason regarding the Warden or the Wither, the players in the overworld are forced to flee to the end. There, a strictly coarse fruit diet turned them into Endermen, but not before they could create the Ender Dragon. And the reason that they created the Ender Dragon is to stop whatever they were running from coming in, or them from going out. Which again makes sense because we know that the player in Minecraft is capable of creating life through golems. So if the Ender Dragon is a golem, then what does that mean for this theory? Well, personally, I think that a golem of this size was just too big to be self-sustained, so it needs energy. Now, we know that energy in Minecraft exists through redstone, but I think that this is some kind of other energy that we don't yet understand. And by that, I mean the same energy that lets Endermen teleport. End energy. Hopefully I'll make an end energy theory in the future, but for now, all we know is that it has some kind of purple glow in all of its use cases. A purple glow that's emitted by the Ender Dragon when you kill it. So here's my theory. When the Ender Dragon dies, it goes to the respawn screen equivalent. But the reason that it can't respawn is because it requires lots of power to function. The powerful energy from the end crystals allows the dragon to come back. But when you kill it, all that energy is spewed out again in the form of purple glow, and the whole process starts over again. So there you have it, folks. Think of this theory the next time you tell your friends you killed the Ender Dragon. And with that, I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.